Hi everyone. Sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now? Excited utterance here. My name's Hella. I'm hella mad because I started off muted. Okay, boomer. Hi guys. Hi, Ma is here. Hello. Sean Moo. Well, funnily enough, actually, I have a clip from Sean to play today. I have a clip from Sean. So it's only appropriate that I started off muted. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Howdy, folks. We have Brad in the house. We have Bunny Murphy. Welcome to the Hellaverse. Bunny Murphy came up with that. Welcome. Welcome in the house, Hellaversians. Well, Dali, you meet yourself every day. So, I mean, I'm not going to compare myself to that situation. And Angie's in the house. Hey, mate, how's it going? My blonde sister from America? Is this another bombshell? Don't know. Wait and see. Wait and see. I want to open your eyes to something today because I've noticed something, and I want you all to be aware of it. You may be aware of it, some of you, and but I think probably not. I think probably not. Kayla is here. Tuning into house. Hello. M. Osland. And we have David, MLS, making law simple. Stop clipping, clipping, clipping. Only clip nice things of me. Only clip the nice things of me. I'm sick of you clipping things to make it look like Dali and I are in a relationship because we're not. We're not. Okay? Can you stop it? Can you please stop that? Not funny. No. Hey, Catastrophe. How are you? Good to see you. What the hell? Indeed. Can you please stop chasing people away, Mavka? Telling people the stream is cancelled. Could you stop that? My favorite Tasmanian Aussie lawyer is here. You love how Hella says only? Only. Only. Okay. Claude Simeon is here. Hello. Hot Pocket. Spicy Hot Pocket. CH is here. Yep. Yep. Shaker Maker. Nice to see you. Scott is here. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott. I'm gonna find out why. Erica Thorpe is here doing a Dali raid. Awesome. Yeah, this Mapka. This has got to stop. This has got to stop. KLF. Hello, our Jew loving friend who is not a Nazi. Okay. What is a geofence and how did we just make it 10 feet higher? Good question. Okay. And Shammy. Hey, Shammy. Alrighty. So, guys, it's not an uncivil law, right? Stop it. Okay. So, that's what this is all about. Oh, Grace Base is here. How's it going? Why are we mad tonight? All right. So, this word geofence, it sounds like it's some sort of weird techie kind of term. It's really not very tricky to understand at all. It's not. So first we'll just clear up any misunderstandings about what a geofence is. So we all get it. We're all on the same page, and we can get past that little misnomer. So, hey Rachel, how are you? Sarita Banana is here, and Star Crazed. Teach us, Hella. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. Okay. And Johnny Deputy as well. Not as cool as a privacy hedge. No, nowhere near as cool as a privacy hedge. Okay, so you may be aware. So we'll do this quickly. All right. So we'll start with what it is first, but then we'll talk about why it's a bit scary. All right, because what it is pretty simple, but why it's a bit scary is more of a concern. JC, a geofence in the literal sense would likely be a giant hole in the ground or a circle of rocks. Sure. Stop it. February 3 was yesterday, David. Pretty soon, David, we're going to be talking about the Fourth Amendment. If you want to pop on for that bit, sure. Are you going to watch Death Penalty on YouTube? Doesn't sound like something I'd enjoy. Okay, so let me pop into this view. Let me change. Okay, so you might have walked into a shopping center or something like that and gotten some sort of little pop-up on your cell phone. See, I talk like an American. I say cell phone. Here we say mobile phone. And something like this might have happened, right? So welcome to somewhere you can spend money. Hi. Hi. Right? That means you've walked into, that means you've walked into a geofenced area, right? So notice how I have this headline in sort of a red weird shaped box. That's on purpose because the red weird shaped box represents the shopping center. So see how, and I've stolen this graphic. Well, I borrowed it. This graphic is from a company that does geofencing. And geofencing is most often used in marketing, right? So it's like a marketing activation thing. So you go into a space and sometimes it asks you to download an app or something like that, and it offers you a marketing experience. So in this instance, it's a shopping center and says, welcome to Taha Shopping Center. Taha Shopping Center is a modern shopping destination that supports an active and comfortable lifestyle for you and your family, giving you a sense of freedom, blah, 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 blah. See what's new. And it'll offer you things like a map to get around the place, special offers that are on at different shops in that shopping center. And you'll think, oh, isn't that lovely? Right? They're tracking you the whole time you're there and finding out all the information they can about you and how often you've been there, etc., because you have your location data turned on your phone. And the more you interact with it, the more they find out about you. So whilst you are in this space, you're in their geofence. Right? Does that make sense? Grey space. This has never happened to me. Yes, it has. Right? So you've been in thousands, probably millions of geofenced areas. Right? So we can't see it. It just happens. Right? So this is a geofence that is quite visible because it actually pops up on your screen. Right? But it also happens in like government buildings and things like that. So it might not show up. It might just be tracking you as you walk into buildings as a security measure. Right? So this happens a lot. Now, David's saying, I turned off all my location information and app sharing information, and now my phone will not sync with my car. See, this is a problem, right? So this is where the Supreme Court back in August last year, actually not the Supreme Court, the Fifth Circuit Court had a discussion. The Supreme Court in the Fifth Circuit, so that is Smith versus United States, Smith versus Mississippi. Sorry, there was a discussion regarding the tracking of the phones there in that case, and they actually had a discussion regarding whether or not it's possible to even get away from this, right? So you can't stop yourself from giving your information to these companies. It's not possible, right? So, I mean, it's such an intrinsic part of your everyday life that how do you not give your information to, say, Google, right? Now, in 2018, there was a big decision made. It was the case of United States versus Carpenter. And that one, I've actually got the information on this one here. The Supreme Court decision in Carpenter versus United States 2018, the Supreme Court ruled that the government needs a warrant to access a person's cell phone location history. The court found in a 5-4 decision that obtaining such information is a search under the Fourth Amendment and that a warrant from a judge based on a probable cause is required. And that's because of this, the fact that you, in order to just live in everyday society these days, having a smartphone and giving your information out is just part of life, right? So therefore, you need a warrant in order to access it. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about what's happened since then, because that was 2018. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Can't be Manny Smith versus USA's. No. Should I not be? Sorry, just can't. No, Erica, there's nothing you can do about this, right? This is the problem, right? You can't do anything about this. You can't, and that's the other problem. You can say, oh, I don't break the law, but we're getting to this next bit, okay? Good luck. Yeah, Circuit Court of Appeals. We'll talk about it in a minute, because the thing is that Sean's already done a stream on this when the decision happened back in August. So he covered this, and I will link you to the stream on that. And I'm also going to bring up a little piece of his stream on that one as well. So, okay, let's keep going. So this is the kind of sort of geofence that just happens in everyday life and is not really to do with law enforcement, right? So these are active geofences. But then we've got the ones that law enforcement do. And they happen retrospectively, and they're called reverse searches, right? They have a few different names, but they're basically retrospective searches. Okay, so welcome to your future crime scene, right? So you're walking around just in everyday life, and you don't know that one day there will be a invisible line drawn around this space that you're walking through, and you have your location data turned on because you kind of have to, right? You kind of have to. And what happens is this. This. Okay, so go back in time. Well, what happens is the police, law enforcement, a crime happens, right? And so they go and subpoena Google or AT&T or whoever it is. Generally, it's Google, but we'll talk about that, because Google in December 2023, which is too late for Zachariah Anderson, too late for Bryan Kohberger, too late for Richard Allen. December 2023 decided that they're not going to respond to these warrants anymore. Some other people have popped up in their place, and we'll also talk about that. But they go and subpoena people like Google and say, well, between these periods of time, what I'd like you to do is look at this space, geographical space, and give me every bit of data that you can about people and devices that were in this space and everything they were doing. Everything. Right? So, Google or AT&T, whoever, comes back and goes, okay, so we have some cell towers, we have satellite. Great. So you can imagine that there'll be more than one device in there, right? There'll be some people who might be texting one another, a little hearty message thing, and some phone calls. It's a match. Right? All sorts of stuff going on. And this could be years ago. Oh, look, someone was stabbing in that area. Funny that. Now, that person didn't seem to have a phone on them. What can we do about that? Why didn't they have a phone on them? Well, turns out that the phone, look, it was dead. And it was over there. It wasn't in the geofence area. Wow. Wow. What do murderers do? What do murderers do, guys? Quick, who can answer the question fastest? Mavka was first. They turn off their phone. Right? They turn off their phone. They don't bring it into the crime scene. They turn it off and leave it outside. Right? Yes. Or they leave it at home. Of course they do. Right? So therefore, if their phone isn't in the geofence area, they just throw all this information away. It's not relevant, guys. It's not relevant. However, if stabby person happened to be one of these phones, you know what? It'd so be in that trial, wouldn't it? Hey? Do you think the cops would leave this information out if stabby person over here actually had their phone with them? Please. Please. Some stabbers probably don't understand phones. Oh, well, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because this is where I'm getting to, okay? So we're at a point where this kind of data can be used by law enforcement to do whatever the fuck they want, right? They can search it up, and if it's inculpatory, they'll include it. If it's exculpatory, they can fucking throw it away. Yeah? Okay. Are we getting it? Okay, and here's an example. Richard Allen, right? Richard Allen is a really, really great example of this because it uses the data. Yes, the data. Richard Allen's phone was not in the geofence area. Does anyone remember this information coming in at trial? Nope. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Whatever you can try to do, they will try to do. You do remember it coming in at trial? When? Because there was a motion in limine. Thanks, girl. If he was, McLellan will put it in. It didn't come in. It did not come in. No, it did not come in. Now, just before we finish this, I have a little clip by Sean just to scare you a little bit about this. So, hang on just a minute. This is about how to evade geofencing, which you can't.
phone companies, everybody who wants to do it can do what's called geofencing. They set up a virtual perimeter around an area, and then you can track who goes in and out of that area. You could track it for a certain amount of time. You could base it on GPS data, cell phone data, using of apps. So when you're at a event and you have to download a certain app, you're being geofenced. They're tracking you. They're getting information from that. All kinds of analytical data. Well, the police can use that as well because they can put a geofence out and they can figure out, was somebody near the scene of a crime? Was somebody near an event they're investigating? And from there, they can start tracking things. Well, what can you do with that? Do you need a warrant? Well, let's look at that and let's see what the Fifth Circuit had to say. Kim says, only use a burner phone and change them out every day. You're going to need guys, remember the way OPSEC works. You're going to have to, they can then track that number and find out information, the metadata where that number came from. So no, the only smart move is not to have a phone in those areas. That's the only smart play. So just something to think about. Like the electronic avoidance and surveillance is very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if you're not there, they'll say you turned your phone off, which is sus. Yes. But there's only so many ways you can avoid it. You can avoid it only so many ways. Yeah, VPNs do not affect geolocation. This is going off of your phone's GPS and your cell data. You can't VPN cell phone data. Now, if you had something like a Stingray and you were spoofing cell phone towers, even then, you're going to have a lot of issues because you always don't control which cell phones towers you hook up to. A lot of things. This is really, you would need government level support, meaning from the U.S. government or other governments to avoid geofencing. And none of you got that. None of you got that.
None of you got that.
That's a shame, says. This worked for one of the Delphi alternate suspects. Yeah. Yep. Don't bring a phone.
Okay. So on that, thank you to Sean. Sean's very smart. Yes, he is smart. Hey, everyone. Hey, Cleveland Rocks. How are you? Good to see you. Hey, Ariel. I saw you in there. I was like, I'm going to clip you. Your cell phone data puts you one province over. Well, that's a problem. What if there's a stabbing one province over? Hey, classic overthinker. Good to see you. Don't bring your burners home. Use it and lose it. See, so Sean makes a really good point. There is no way to avoid this, right? And they know it. They know it. Okay, so let's look back at, this is the third memo, supplemental, hang on, what's it actually called? Richard Allen's third Frank's notice and request for Frank's hearing. That's what it's called. And it talks about the geofence. So in it, it states, oh, hello, DP's here. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me on, Sean. Was Sean coming on?
No.
Is this Sean's?
No.
I thought I'd seen Sean talking.
Sean was talking. Yeah, I clipped him. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Sorry about that. Well, thanks for having me over here. I appreciate
You're welcome.
it. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man.
Hopefully your audience understands my sense of humor. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm a big fan of Ellen.
Sure. Aww. Am I supposed to say I'm a big fan of you?
No, I mean, I don't have a fandom. I'm just a picture some guy drew. I'm not a sketch. I'm not an image. I'm something in between, as Doug Carter would say.
Kind of like a hologram, kind of. And calm the rhetoric whilst you're at it.
I'm toning it down. I'm toning it down. I'm looking for places in other countries.
Yeah, we don't want you here. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Speaking
of Sean, You know, I see people get this geofencing thing wrong a lot. So we deal with the internet. I've been wrong about many things.
Yeah.
Only one time. But he said it is a geographical parameter.
Yes.
A lot of people don't get that it's just lines on a map. And what you do with those lines on a map, say, use them for an AT&T search warrant or a Google search warrant.
Yep.
That's how you get the data. But really, it's just parameters. You're just drawing lines. And I think in all the semantics of how the state uses them in every state, every law enforcement agency that uses these types of warrants, they try to play the confusion game and they bounce those things around a lot. So I like that he explained it so simply.
Very much so. And the thing is, just like I was just showing visually, it's just a shape, right?
Yep.
So it's just drawing a shape and going between this period and this period in this shape. Show me everything that happened, right? And unfortunately, everything that happened, that is pretty broad, right? Like there is a lot of stuff that can happen in that period of time. And that's why Google in December 2023 went, not sure if this is, if we're really on board with all this anymore. Right.
Well, how could you be? Because really it was designed as an advertising tool, and it's a lot like Apple Health data, and it's a lot like telemetry data. It was never intended to be used in a murder trial. Okay.
No.
Maybe a DUI crash, for telemetry data. Maybe, somebody goes missing. You could use the Apple Health data, or I'm sorry, geofencing, pen registers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was never intended to be an intelligence tool about criminal activity.
Yes.
Now, there are some conspiracy theories behind that and big tech's, goals. But to me, I just don't think that they were designed to do that. And law enforcement are the ones that co-opted these tools to become surveillance tools, to become evidence in criminal trials.
Absolutely. And Google was like, don't think so. Right? They were sick of it.
Finally.
They got the shits with it. Right? But what I want to show you in a minute is other companies have popped up and gone, hey, we can do it with AI.
Oh, that's perfect. Right? AI and geofence location data.
Yeah. And they're all like, guess what? Check it out. We can make all this money now that Google has decided not to do it. Right?
Ain't that nice?
Isn't that nice? And even their websites are written with AI. Right? So I'm going to show you. Oh, well, I've thought you were AI all along, DB. But I'll show you that in a minute. But before we do that, because I don't know how long you can stick around for, DB, I want to, and I know you just leave. I want to ask you about this because this is, as I said, the third Frank's notice and request for Frank's. Yeah. So this part here, specifically, the defense received certain geofencing evidence that at least 3 persons were in and around the crime scene at a time while the murders were taking place, according to law enforcement timelines. And none of the owners of the phones have any connection to Richard Allen. Kind of big.
Yes.
Right? Kind of big. So, and then down here, this geofencing evidence would provide evidence of any of the following scenarios. Those persons walking with the phones are witnesses that would have observed the murders as they were taking place, and none of them have identified Richard Allen, or those persons walking with the phones were witnesses who observed nothing as the murders did not take place the afternoon of February 13, 2023, because we've talked about that. It could have not been that day. But the victims were taken to the crime scene after the search was called off, or those persons walking with the phones were participants in the murder.
I mean, it could be.
Right. Either way, right, his phone wasn't in the geofence area.
Mm-hmm. And that's exculpatory. People are like, After reading the Bryan Kohberger PCA, people are like, well, it's suspicious because Detective Payne says that that's something that criminals are known to do.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Oh no, R&M's here.
she was here before.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. Hello, love. How are you? Okay. So, now when, and so when I'm sure this is going to come up at appeal, and the reason I'm sure of that is because Jennifer OJ, who this is her area of the prosecution, she was all over the geofence part, but she didn't want to talk about about Richard Allen's phone not being in the geofence area when she was interviewed. So I have that little piece. Where are we? Here we go. Share this tab instead. Yeah, she didn't. She kind of stopped short when she was asked about this. And that to me says that it's going to be brought up at appeal. So if you just want to watch this little bit here.
Reasonable doubt in this case.
Despite the logic not flowing. I wanted to just go back to the geofencing. So kind of two-part question. One, what evidence would you have gotten in? Could you have used it? And was the geofencing and the tower dumps used to clear by law enforcement to clear others?
You know, it's kind of hard. I don't know. The long silence is me searching through my head through terabytes of data, right? I don't know that they used it to really clear anybody. I mean, they probably did. There are so many, 14,000 tips, right? I'm sure at some point they did use it to clear people who were called in on those tip lines. I don't know how serious any of those tips that they used to clear it was. One thing that would have been really helpful is they can do a drive study. And they have equipment that they put in their car and they drive around and map out where you get a signal from the cell tower. And they didn't do
just on that, that's been referred to before in the Kohberger pretrial hearings, a drive test. So, yeah, and she's explaining it quite well here. So just to put that in context.
In this case, that would have been tremendous evidence to have. And you can't go back and recreate it, 7.5 years later. That would have been really incredible evidence to have because, the fact is that the phone didn't connect to the tower for that period of time. And why didn't that happen? Well, if we had a drive study, we would know where there are areas where her phone would not connect to the tower. And maybe
so she could have been nearby in a nearby location and then
or far away.
But right.
I mean, the Apple Health data, there, 2 flights climbed. It can be up. They said it could be down. If it's down, 2 flights down gets you to the access road and a vehicle, and off they go. And who knows where they could have gone.
Right. So
and let me stay on that, because when you guys argued that motion, when McClelland sought to have that barred as being brought into evidence, and I'm specifically talking about the geofencing, he didn't put an expert on. He merely made this kind of bald assertion that there was only one tower in Delphi, in Carroll County at that point, or in Delphi proper, and that geofencing area encompassed the entire town of Delphi. So he said that that was his argument, and so saying that it had no real relevance or no material in terms of it had no material value because of the fact that it encompassed the entire town. When he made that argument, Allison and I had a live, and I'm like, he is just flame thrown ever being able to use geofencing in any case ever again, because he now is on the record as of having said that. And, you know, for me, like, did you guys see anything in the data that rebutted what he was saying? Like, did that data exist, or was that a legitimate argument from him? I always wonder.
Well, I want to follow up real briefly when you say that precludes him from using geofencing, kind of like composite sketches, right? Apparently those can never be used again.
Right. There was a couple of things he did that with.
Yeah. And it was, he put it on his witness list. If it's not relevant.
DB, didn't you say there was, well, you actually sent me a screenshot, actually. I could probably bring it up. There was another reason in his motion in limine, as to why it should be kept out. What was that?
Well, so, excuse me. One of the main reasons that he cites is he's concerned that it's going to confuse the jury. Yeah. So it's number 9 in the motion in limine, the big motion in limine that we all know. Are you going to go over it?
No, I don't think so. Wait, do you have the whole document there? You sent me a screenshot of it.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to read number 9 really quick.
Sure, yeah.
So number 9, any reference to geofencing and or any testimony from Kevin Horan about geofencing or the findings from any geofence search that is not relevant or is for the purpose of confusing the issues or has the potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. The burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. Relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. Evidence may be excluded if it confuses the issue. So,
Holy fucking moly.
What I've over time maybe kind of come towards the group, the defense kind of conglomerate idea of what his goal was here was to just throw out the geofencing altogether. In the beginning, I read this as he was saying, if it confuses the jury, it's out. But mine doesn't confuse the jury. So I thought he had always wanted to use some type of geofencing, but I think they didn't, because Kevin Horan, who was a supervisory special agent with the FBI CAS team, the rumor is that he kind of flipped to a defense witness. He didn't change his theories or anything, but he just ended up, his evidence ended up being much more beneficial to the defense.
Yeah, it didn't work for him. So it was going to be confusing to the jury. That's it.
Yep.
And this is what I'm getting at, right? Like, this kind of data, prosecutors, cops can use it however they like, right? It's just, it's too easy for them to manipulate. It's far too easy to manipulate. And even if it does have to come in because they need it for something else, right? So they need to use the data because there's something in there that they need to inculpate the defendant, right? Then they'll go and say, well, but the phone was off at that time because
he was a criminal
what murderers do. Yeah.
Everything in both of these cases really that end up having missing evidence can be explained by Richard Allen and Bryan Kohberger are criminal masterminds.
Yes, absolutely. They're brilliant. And narcissist. Okay, let's just get to this bit where.
And why is it on his witness list? You know, I think it was relevant to the point of, you know, what possible suspects were there? What did the state do to eliminate them? And to the integrity of the investigation, which is always admissible, always relevant. And I mean, I was kind of taken aback by that. Like, that seemed kind of a no-brainer. You know, of course we get to talk about what they did to investigate this. Kind of like, of course the composite sketches are coming in.
Right. So if the geofencing had gotten in, was that the evidence people didn't get to hear, like that their phone, Abby's phone or Libby's phone didn't hit the tower, or was there other evidence that you would have introduced had the geofencing not been excluded?
I think we probably shouldn't get into that too much.
Understood.
See?
Understood.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
See?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she's not trying to criticize the judge's decision publicly, and also that wasn't a trial issue, so it's not in evidence, so she really can't talk about it. I get it.
And I'm sure it will be an appellate issue as well. So,
I think the geofencing is one of the strongest appellate issues out of the wide variety of appellate issues that they have.
Exactly. Now, I want to skip a bit now because the other day, well, last week at the Bryan Kohberger hearing, something came up. This is a really short clip, but something came up and it got me interested. Oops. Yeah. Hang on a sec. 2 seconds.
Hour later, they say they have all this data analyzed, and they say they now need 6 months worth of phone records for Bryan Kohberger's phone. They do acknowledge that his phone wasn't contained within the geofence when they looked at the geofence. But this second warrant is important, and we're going to talk about minutes difference of time. In the first AT&T warrant, in that affidavit, the police officer talks about 2:42 a.m.
Okay, guys, Bryan Kohberger's phone was not in the geofence, right? Now, let's talk about this. In order for Bryan Kohberger's phone to not be in that geofence area, it doesn't need to just be not reporting to the network, as was in the PCA and as has always been the position of the state, right? It needs to have been completely goddamn off. Yeah? Now, if it was completely off, it would have registered on the phone log as having been powered down at some point. Now, that phone log, the forensic phone log, should be in discovery, and the defense expert should be able to find that. So this is a big deal for that phone not to have ever been in that geofence area, and for the state to have that information and the defense now to have that information. The only way that that's not going to be exculpatory to the defendant is for the state to get that suppressed, right? So what are they going to do? Are they going to put it into a motion in limine? What's going to happen, guys? Because I mean, all along they've been saying, oh well, his phone just happened to be off, or his phone. Well, they didn't say off. But they've been inferring that it's been off during the time of the murders. They're going to do a McClelland. They lost the
Dickless McClentis. Sorry, are we allowed to say Dickless on here? Dickless McClentis?
Yeah, of course, if you like.
Okay, good.
They lost the on-off data. The tech people did it.
Yeah, I think she's talking about the phone in Delphi.
Oh, I don't know. This is a really big deal, because they can't just lose all of the geofence information. There's got to be other stuff in there they need, right? So yeah, there's got to be other stuff in there they need, and they also can't lose all of the forensic data on Bryan's phone, can they? I mean, surely. Well, I mean, can they?
I mean, they got it all. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, are they going to be in a situation where they just lost the piece of the log that says that the phone shut off?
I
have
some theories about, not complete theories or anything that I can really articulate, but I think that some of that has to do with some of these motions to exclude. I wonder if they're easily misinterpreting something in the iCloud data that got backed up on his phone that doesn't show that it was on, or that it wasn't doing certain activities that it was normally doing, like a couple weeks before. So I think that they have a really solid piece of bad faith evidence that they're going to use from that. And that's why Ann Taylor's not being too specific about it. And then why they're trying to get that tossed. But also, that might not be true at all, because there's this chain of warrants that lead up to, bigger evidence that they're trying to get tossed to. So it could just be that part of the whole game plan.
Can you explain bad faith evidence? Because that's an exception to the Fourth Amendment search and seizure.
Yeah. So I'm more using it like not in a legal sense, but in a rhetorical sense, where they're just going to get something like black trash bags that he purchased on Amazon and say, well, how do we think that he got all this stuff without blood on it? He used black trash bags. Look, he purchased black trash bags 2 days before the murders. Right? I'm a black trash bag guy. I don't like white trash bags. You know what I mean? So it's not a big deal. And then, maybe he searched Ninja Mask on Amazon or Google or something, and they're going to use that to say that, he got a burglar's mask. And so that's what I mean by bad faith evidence is
Gotcha.
They're going to use it in a way not to establish like a prior bad act, but
it'll make him look bad.
The true crime, bulletproof evidence that everybody loves.
Oh, and he's a criminology major, so he's going to have a terrible search history.
I mean, dude, yeah. I mean, all of us. You should see women's search history.
Oh man, I don't want to see women's search history.
I mean, I shouldn't have been in there either, and I seen it. I had to get up out of there. Yeah,
he's going to have clicked on a K-bar once.
A stick. Sorry, I pluralized her name.
He twizzle stick. Exactly. I clicked on a K-bar once, which like every dude has done. Here's the thing, though. I also know that there is a picture of one of the roommates holding a K-bar. And she made it private later, but it exists. I am not implicating them in any way in this crime, but I do know that exists. So that means that one of them had access at least to an object that goes into a sheath like this. So therefore, there could have been the sheath or a sheath or a knife that matches this could have been lying around the house.
Yeah.
It could be completely unrelated to the crime, but that cast doubt.
Yeah, and my good friend Pavarotti, he's damn near solved this thing. He thinks everybody's got a fucking K-bar out there in Idaho.
I don't know how many, I don't know how prolific these objects are. Like, I'm over here, so I don't know how many people have a K-bar knife. But
I was in the Corps for a little bit there in my younger years, so K-bars have really not ever been like anything that special to me. But when I think about them through a perspective of somebody, like if I had one and somebody who wasn't in the military came over and I had it like out, or displayed somewhere, something like that, like the one I got from my service or something like that, it's an interesting piece,
Is it? Yeah.
People, it's one of those things that people kind of know about in American culture, that it's a weapon issued by the Marine Corps. A lot of them have the Eagle Globe and Anchor on them. It's just kind of a cool thing that bros in their 20s are like, "Just a fucking cable, dude," and they're gonna pick it up, they're gonna pull it out,
Okay. Pick it up and pull it out, dudes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
That's what
pick it
dudes
up,
do.
pull it out. Maybe
Right.
maybe they pull it out then pick it up. I don't know.
Well, I would think that they
My bad. Uh-oh.
they pick it up then pull it out. Yeah, okay, whichever. All right. So I wanted to just talk about for a moment this whole idea of with these geofence warrants and the fact that Google stopped giving them out in 2023. Since then, what's happened is this. I went looking and I said, okay, so I just did a Goog, and I said, okay, I did a Goog, yeah, and I said, okay, is Google doing geofence warrants? And of course, someone else popped up in their place, and when I assumed that I was a law enforcement officer, and showed me what they could do for me now that Google is no longer doing the geofence warrants. And I was like, what's this? Who are these upstanding people? Cybercheck, transforming criminal investigations with cutting-edge machine learning and AI. Oh, wow. Isn't this useful? Look at this. And it's a fingerprint, and the fingerprint is exuding all these ones and zeros. Isn't this great? Look at that. I'm so impressed.
Those binary fingerprints.
It's binary fingerprints. Yeah. Well, it's even got this little motherboard down here. Check it out. All right. Okay. So unleash the power of automation in investigations. Cybercheck, created by data intelligence experts, revolutionizes traditional investigative methods with its advanced machine learning algorithms by delving into extensive open source data, including location modeling, digital footprints, anomaly recognition, and mobile signals. We uncover critical intelligence and connections, saving invaluable time and resources in complex investigations. Right, but how? I want to know, like, how, right? It doesn't say. It just says it does it. Okay, comprehensive intelligence from every corner of the web. Our arsenal includes cutting-edge machinery and artificial intelligence technology. We delve deep into the surface, dark and deep web, and leverage these advanced tools to solve crimes that extend beyond cyber-related offenses. By understanding these distinct layers of the internet, we can navigate the digital landscape effectively and extract crucial information for investigations. Oh, look at, there's even like a bar graph. It's so specific. AI is slightly more blue, and traditional is slightly less blue. Manual data analysis can be a painstakingly slow process. Cybercheck's automatic machine learning capabilities expedite the investigation process, delivering faster, more accurate results. The efficiency translates into significant cost savings, making Cybercheck a valuable investment for law enforcement agency. Oh, look at this. Proven success in high-stakes cases. 209 homicide, 107 cold case homicide missing person, 88 child P, and 37 human trafficking. A decade of deep learning, the Cybercheck edge. Okay, so look, none of this makes any sense, right? So Cybercheck's allows us to process cases more efficiently when faced with years-old data, some detective. Using CyberCheck for part of our probable cause on an arrest warrant secured the arrest we needed. You gave a family who has been through hell peace. Lieutenant State Police. State withheld. The bar graph is rather fuzzy and appears pretty useless. No shit, Skinny. No shit. I can't. Yeah, steal your identity. All right, so I want to know, where's the FAQ? FAQ. How do you find information on a person? Here we go. Hey, Sleuthy, how's it going? This is weird. I want to know how they do it, right? Because they're not Google. They're not a provider for anybody, right? So how do they get this information? So how do you find information on a person? Our software searches all corners of the internet, whether surface or dark web, regarding a suspect, victim, or person of interest. As the system gathers the information, it builds a profile detailing the information obtained regarding the individual or group of individuals and delivers it to the end user in a story narrative approach.
I can show you. Look down.
What?
Look down. I'm showing you how it's done. In the private chat.
Oh.
Or the background here.
Oh.
See, this is how we do it. We find people. We can mine Bitcoin. I'm going to start that. I'm going to do a Bitcoin registry to pull Luke's data. Luke is here. He's talking a little shit. So I'm going to decrypt his password. Starting the brute force attack. Cracking it. I got to open the program console here. Penetrate. Yep, I typed that. What the fuck? Let's see what else we got here. Interpol database. Tell me, Luke, and you aren't in here.
I'm in the meeting.
I'm doing a geofence, bro.
I'm so impressed.
I can't. This is classified.
That was amazing. Dali, you're going to have to up your game.
You owe me $375
Fuck off.
for that demo.
Aussie dollars. Aussie dollars. That's like $3. Okay. That did not answer the question. The question was, how do you find information on a person? It said our software searches all corners of the internet, and it didn't actually answer it, right? Okay, here's something. What information is needed to find a person? Cool. The system needs as little as one piece of information as an input. No. We asked what information, not. And then it says as little as one piece of information. What's the one piece of information you need? What is it? Like a name? Date of birth? What? Phone number?
Social security number. Full social.
Name, photo,
you should be able to figure
IP
out
address, email, phone number. Online alias. Is an online alias enough?
Don't worry about people's online aliases, okay?
What, DB?
Don't try to find out people's names based on their online alias.
Is DB enough?
Online aliases are sacred.
What is a CyberCheck case? CyberCheck case is a real-time and historical investigation and intelligence platform capable of collecting, processing, and analyzing unique datasets through all corners of the internet, including the dark web. See, they just keep saying dark web, and they sound really impressive. CyberCheck case presents detailed intelligence around individuals and events as a narrative report, so they can do a whole event. That sounds That sounds a lot like a geofence. What led to the creation of Cybercheck by Global Intelligence? Hearing stories of those victimized by child exploitation and human trafficking, we felt compelled to bridge the gap. With experience in law enforcement, we saw technology could bridge between ethics, privacy, and the need for actionable intelligence in a safe, legal, and secure manner. Yeah, expensive open source.
I think all those things seem like a good thing.
Like, yeah, this
what
is very.
It takes to think of these things.
This whole like, oh, we care about the victims thing. It's all very Jennifer Coffinduffer.
Parking lots are actually one of the.
Get absolutely shit on, burglar, mugger. Jennifer Coffinduffer got your ass.
I love that clip so much.
Hit it one more time for us, please.
Yeah, sure.
Parking lots are actually one of the.
Broken off. Did he cut off his seatbelt? What in the world?
It's so good. Is there a full version? Yeah, but that fits the funniest.
Well, what do you need the full version for there, Twizzle Stick? What are you into, dude?
Bye, mate. See you later on. You streaming later, Ant? All right. How do I get a free demo? Sorry. How do you keep my portal data secure? Oh, you're so worried about keeping your portal data secure, but you're just invading fucking people's privacy all over the place. You couldn't give a shit. You don't care. I don't care about this. This is bullshit. Right. So let's just have a little bit of a look at the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Yeah, right. Yeah, fucking right. So Google decided in 2023 to stop giving this information out, even with a warrant. But there's other companies that have popped up and they're just like, well, we'll find it for you anyway. Right? Now, it seems like the phone companies and like Apple, for example, are still giving it out. There's a bunch of... It seems to be like Google's the best way to get this information, but there's other avenues, right? So there is, at the moment, there is a problem, like as far as the appellate court or the Court of Appeals in the Fifth Circuit has a decision that is at odds with the, let's have a look. It's at odds with the Sixth Circuit. So we have a decision that happened in August. So the with the Fourth Circuit. So the Fifth and the Fourth are at odds right now, and that means that the Supreme Court may get involved and have discussions regarding the privacy matters in relation to phone data, searches of your location data. However, it worries me because I feel like something else will just pop back up, right? Like the fact that Google went and said no to these warrants, but then some other company just comes along and says, well, we can do it with AI. And there seems to be always something new that comes up and finds a way to track you, and then people get convicted, and then it takes years for the courts to catch up, basically. So I will post for you the stream that Sean did in regard to this decision that happened in August and has left the courts in a in a bind, and perhaps the Supreme Court might get involved. But yeah, that was August.
I heard it has them in fits.
Who has what in fits?
It has the courts in fits.
It's in fits. In
Yeah.
fits. I don't think
In
they
a
ever get
pickle.
in fits, do they? Do they ever get in fits? I think
I don't
they're
know.
pretty sedate and quiet, aren't they?
The courts?
Yes.
Mm,
Do
yeah,
they?
I don't know. I don't like
Really?
the chances of that having a fruitful outcome at the Supreme Court level right now, but
Exactly. I mean, things move pretty slowly, don't they? I mean, like Andrew was saying that, yeah, it takes 10 years for things to get to the United States Supreme Court.
right.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, and then by then, what? So by then, how many people have been convicted? And yeah, Brian's already on death row. And what bothers me most about this is the fact that not so much that they can get your data, but more that they can just do whatever they want with it. Like they can include it if they want to at trial, or they can just decide to throw it out if they want to, or they can use the narrative however they feel. Like they can go, oh, well, you know, that's all right because criminals turn their phone off.
Yep.
That's what really bothers me about it. So,
Well, even if they just use it as an investigative tool, it's like a polygraph. If you're being interrogated and they're sitting there and showing you all these charts and they're telling your lawyer they have you on the geofence later, obviously your lawyer probably wouldn't let you get interrogated, but then you go to trial and then they're like, well, that's the geofence data, and your lawyer's like, you're on the geofence, man, you got a public defender. It's like, what are you gonna do? But
yeah.
even if that's just an investigative measure, which is what the Fifth Circuit wants to turn it into, they want to make it inadmissible. Even then, it's like it's a weapon to be used against people that, maybe they robbed a drug dealer, right? Maybe they knocked over a 7-Eleven, right? But they didn't knock over that 7-Eleven, right?
Yes.
And so they're thinking, damn, dude, I got all this shit in my criminal history. If I can just maybe, get this thing knocked out of the way, do some time, maybe I can resolve all these other cases too if I plea, because they basically got me dead to rights on this one. It's a tool and a leverage that is unfair, and ultimately can't confront it at trial, because being even at trial, according to the Fifth Circuit for geofencing and every circuit for a polygraph, it's too prejudicial. Even if you are able to defeat it, even if it comes in a trial, it's too prejudicial.
Exactly. Now, I mean, here's the other thing, right? Like, okay, so if it's not going to be allowed to be brought in at trial, what if it's exculpatory? Right? So there's two sides to the coin. So the defense should be able to use it equally. And I don't feel at the moment that that's the case. So either it can not be used at all, or it's used equally. And yeah, it doesn't feel like that's the case at the moment. It feels like it's just it's a weapon for prosecution, and it's being used very, very much to their advantage, and it's completely one-sided at the moment. This whole we need to stop this whole narrative of murderers turn their phone off.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's so wrong. So I really hope, especially in Bryan's case, I really hope that there is something to show that that phone was on. Now they really have scored big time with Ray being their expert. That guy knows everything about cell phones and cell phone data. He will be able to testify to whether or not that phone was on and where the hell it was.
I'll say something about Ray real quick.
I know what you think about Ray. Go on, but you say.
Oh, okay. A bit of a fash. He was a cop. He did say that the Indiana State Police is one fine organization, and they have some of the most respected cell site location experts within their ranks. And if ISP touched anything, the Indiana State Police touched anything, he knew it was legit.
I don't know why he. Okay, so this weirds me out. The whole
It's weird.
Him talking about Indiana State Police that way. He trains police.
Yeah, he worked with them. And they pitched the Richard Allen case to him. They wanted him to be one of their experts.
But he didn't take it, did he?
He didn't. But he said on a podcast that everything was there and they had the right guy because the geofence stuff that he's seen was legit.
Did he now?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, he didn't testify for them, and he's testifying for Bryan Kohberger as a defense expert for the very first time ever, and pro bono.
Yeah, and I think that sense, kind of that, looking at it through that, him being such a cop, even as he's retired, him being willing to even look at the Bryan Kohberger case maybe says more about that case than he knows about the other cases, because he probably, he took the pitch from the law enforcement, from ISP, and he's always going to take that pitch. So.
Yeah. So when you told me about that, I didn't know about that. But when you told me about that, I was like, we talking about the same Ray? Because I have been utterly impressed with this man. And I'm
very impressed by him too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. He absolutely knows his shit. And unfortunately, here's the thing. I don't like cops, right? And I don't like people who work for cops. But for him to turn his back on the people who pay his wage, basically, and he's not a cop anymore. He works for himself. But he trains the feds, he trains the cops in how to use his software to make cell maps of where people have gone for trials, right? And he wrote this software called Trax, TRAXX, which you've probably seen if you watch the Karen Reed trial, for example. If you watched the Daybell trial, you would have seen the maps of people getting around, their phones getting around, and that's him. He wrote that software. He's been doing it for 20 plus years, and the software is obviously developed over time. And he accredits people both in state law enforcement, local law enforcement, and in the FBI, in being able to put in call detail records and make these maps. And he, for the very first time, is testifying for the defense for Bryan Kohberger, and he says that from what he's seen, Bryan Kohberger's phone was 40 miles to the west at the time of the murders. So, that being the case, that holds a lot of weight for me. And he has also stated that the work that was done by the police, by Detective Mowry, was pretty low level. And he's not really competent to make a map, especially one that was presented to the grand jury.
Yeah, and the way it was in the PCA too is just utterly
in the PCA
dog shit.
Exactly. So he is going to be, well, he very well could be the man who convinces the jury, if the jury can be convinced, that Bryan is innocent, that he should be acquitted, if they're awake at that point. Because he really is the star witness for the defense. So yeah, I was not very pleased to hear what you said about what he said about the Indiana State Police and their part in the Richard Allen investigation. But I suppose he works on thousands of cases, and his clients are police, and maybe it's an oversight. I don't know. So yeah, I didn't like it though. I didn't like it. So we'll see. Yeah, Ray doing a "Don't Kill Me, Bro." Maybe it's that. Phone stopped reporting to the network at 2:47 when it really stopped reporting at 2:54, and he was doing the opposite direction using a different tower. Yeah, that came out on Thursday last week. Yeah. What happened with ASAP? We're about to find out, because we are going to go over to Sean. And Ange, if you're streaming later, guys, go over to see Ange later. I'm sure she'll probably be streaming in a couple of hours, more than likely. And darling, you're giving gifts away. Thank you. You're
Wow, thanks, Dolly.
Well, thanks, darling. Thank you. And thank you, DB, for hanging out. It's been really fun. And
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Thank you for showing us the tracking system.
Of course. I have everybody in chat in the system.
Of course you do. Yes, and you're just an avatar. All right, so yes, guys, we are going to raid Mr. Potentially Criminal, Sean.
Say hello, raid, motherfuckers, do it.
You have to say hello, raid. That's what you have to say. Nothing else that Dolly tells you to say. Right?
Yeah, don't do nothing Dolly says.
Does do anything he says. Right? And he's not streaming. Oh, bye. And oh, that's a shame. Okay. But anyway, yeah. He's doing the ASAP Rocky trial. I might pop on there later. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, no, I won't, because I have to go up with my mum later. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you guys for hanging out. That was super fun. I will probably stream again tomorrow, similar-ish time. Not sure what yet. Something fun. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. That was good. No, you don't say Dali. No, not Dali Raid. It's Hella Raid. And then we go over there. And now it's time for the song. It's time for the song.
Her name was Hella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Dolly and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud, and because she's an 803.